Hi guys, welcome to this issue of iDrum magazine. My name's Pat Garvey. In this issue we're going to look at 4 and floor. It's one of the most well used grooves around. It graces numerous big songs over the decades. It's the one that gets dance floors pumping. It's the one that gets band members smiling. It's the one that, if you can play it well, gets you asked back time and time again, because it just allows music and everything to just work. What we're going to do is we're just going to look at pretty much what it is in the context of just an eighth note hi-hat pattern. And we're going to explore 2 different accent patterns on top of our bass pattern. And then we're going to look at the placement of the backbeat and what it does for the feel of the track. And this is all about feel and allowing the music to breathe and work and push and pull and do different things without doing any more than what we're talking about here. One of the most valuable lessons you can learn as a musician, specifically a drummer, is how to complement the music. And how to really make it work and really make it cook and really sit in the music whilst adding to it your own kind of flavour, your own character and personality, if you like. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play the first exercise you've got there, and it's the 4 on the floor. It's a bass drum on each quarter note, and then over the top I'm laying a hi-hat, okay, eighth note hi-hat pattern. So the second thing I'm going to play, okay, is the hi-hat variation B, and that is with the accents on the quarter note. And this works in the same down up way as it does when we were talking a few issues ago about the Mozambique rhythm and just getting those accents out using those motions. So here's hi-hat version B, and you'll notice immediately the difference in the feel. Now I'm going to play hi-hat variation C, okay, and this is putting the accent onto the offbeat. So the 3 of them sound completely different, and they lend completely different things to the music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the 3 of them back to back, so that you can hear them back to back. Okay, so I'll play a couple of bars of each. So they're very dynamic. One of the things that's difficult about this, and it's you've got to be careful with it, because it's easy to think that it's really cooking, and then you listen to a recording back and it's not cooking, and you feel awful about it. Is this thing of interlimb accuracy, and what that means is your bass drum falling in the right place and according to where your hi-hat's sitting? Is your snare drum sitting in the right place to where those 2 things are sitting? Is your time feel overall really working for the music? Part of this is really getting that kind of stuff to really kind of settle in. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to add a backbeat to the 2 and 4, okay, to our first hi-hat pattern. Now I'm going to add the backbeat 2 and 4 to our second hi-hat pattern. Now I'm going to add the hi-hat, the backbeat, sorry, 2 and 4 to our third hi-hat pattern. Now I'm going to play, like I did before, I'm going to play 2 bars of each, one into the other and round again. I'll play it twice round, so you can really hear the difference in those 3. As I mentioned, with getting your ducks in a row, so to speak, with regard to your hi-hat and your snare drum, same accounts for between bass drum and snare drum. If it's not accurate, you'll get quite a weird sounding flam, which if you're not going for it, or playing it in a musical context, which the chances are if you're using this groove, you don't want it to sound like this, it won't sound right. I'll try and demonstrate what I'm talking about with the hi-hat patterns. Okay, so with the first hi-hat pattern, you'd get this. You don't want it. It's not a nice look. If you're recording, it will cost an engineer a lot of time. If you're playing that live, instead of smiles, you'll get winces. Instead of getting asked back, you won't. So it's something just to be really careful of. So what I'm going to do now is, instead of keeping playing this, on my own, or putting a click on and playing it and doing all that kind of stuff, I'm going to play it to a bit of backing track, just to demonstrate the different ways that this can be used with exactly the same pieces of music, with exactly the same piece of music, to get different feels or give the music a different kind of breathing space. The track's just going to go around 3 times. There's 2 parts to it, and in a nutshell, I'm going to start with the first exercise, which was just the 4 on the floor with the hi-hat. I'll play that once so you can listen to how it allows the music to breathe, and then I'll vary some hi-hat patterns. As you can hear from just playing around with it, it creates quite a lot of different scope. It makes the track move in different ways. So the next thing I'm going to do here, which you've got on your notation, is instead of a 2 and 4 backbeat, we're going to add a backbeat onto the 3, which gives it a half-time kind of feel. So our first hi-hat pattern with a backbeat on the 3. Second hi-hat pattern with a backbeat on the 3, and I'll slow it down a bit for reference. And then the third hi-hat pattern with the backbeat on the 3. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the same backing to the same backing again, but this time I'm going to mix in and out of all the different stuff we've talked about over the course of this session, just so you can hear how one kind of essentially very simple idea in theory has such a huge effect on the feel of the and the way that the music is then interpreted. So I'll mix and match all three, and I'll sign off with this as well. So I hope you've got something out of this. This is something, you know, I kid you not, so important to work on with regard to your interlim, your togetherness, your sound control, and your ability just to sit in and just play what someone asks for well. It's about playing something very simple, in theory, very well. I hope you got something out of it. Take care. I'll see you in the next issue.